Bisexuality? Pansexuality? What's the difference? Let's talk about it. For those of us who are attracted to more than one gender, there are so many words that we can use to describe ourselves, but today we're going to talk about bisexual and pansexual because there seems to be the most discussion about what the difference is between those two. I've been putting off making this video for literally a year because it took me that long to formulate my thoughts on this and to come up with a cohesive answer, which I may or may not have actually done. Webster's dictionary defines bisexuality as, just kidding, we're not going to do that. There's more to life than Webster's dictionary, and also this is bossy pants. So definitions of bisexuality include the attraction to men and women, which is my least favorite definition, but we're gonna go over why. Attracted to two genders, or it could mean attracted to one's own gender and other genders. Pansexuality also has a couple of different definitions. The first one is attraction to all genders, and the second one is attraction regardless of a person's gender. And those are actually different definitions, which we'll go over a little bit. But yeah, so those are the generally accepted definitions, whether Webster acknowledges it or not. So because this conversation is way bigger than just me, I wanted to hear your feedback on it too. So I opened it up for discussion on Facebook and Twitter. I said, if you identify as bisexual, then why do you say bi and not pan? If you identify as pan, then why pan and not bi? So here people are basically just telling me like what they identify with and why and what they see the differences as between those two categories. So I never learned how to shuffle cards. That's a fun fact about me. I'm just gonna rapid fire these. Bi is a community label that includes middle sexuality, so for this person it's more of an umbrella term. I use bi because I'm only attracted to men and women, not all genders. I can't narrow down my attraction to a certain gender or genders, so pan feels more like myself. I identify as bi because I've heard that pan implies gender-blind attraction, but I feel different kinds of attraction toward different genders. There's more of a history behind the term bisexual, so it's a little bit more grounded in community. This person says, I use bi because I'm attracted to my gender and other genders, but not all genders. I don't have time to explain what pan means, so I use bi. Solid. Pan addresses a wider spectrum of sexualities than bi. This person identifies as pan but sees the value in both. They say, ultimately it's a question of how a person's gender relates to your attraction to them. Pansexual because I don't have a specific preference of my gender or of any genders or sexualities. My handwriting is so bad. I write like, I don't even know what, like an animal who has not been trained to write. I prefer anthrosexual because it's like bi without the binary. Pan implies that you're attracted to someone regardless of gender. Bi says that gender shapes how you're attracted to them. I identify as bi because so many definitions of pan are ignorant of bi and trans history, and those two communities have historically been strong allies to each other. I identify as bi because of the historical activist meaning of bisexuality, which is people like me and people not like me. I don't have time to explain what pansexuality means. Again, popular. I ID as bi because I'm more attracted to certain genders than others, whereas pan seems to be more evenly spread. This person says I'm bi because I find some traits attractive in women that I wouldn't in men, and vice versa, while pan doesn't really consider the packaging of a person. Bisexuality has more of a community and resources around it. This person says, I prefer sapiosexual because my attraction to someone is based on intelligence and personality and less on physical appearance, which I guess is how they get the most out of someone's gender. I say bi because my attraction is dichotomous. I like really masculine men and feminine women, and attraction for me is tied to that person's gender. Bisexuality is more widely understood and takes less explaining. This is common. And pansexual because I see gender as a continuum, not a dichotomy, and it's more inclusive of trans people. Okay, so yeah, that's more than I could come up with on my own. I don't know why I did that. So having heard all of that, even if we can't settle on exact definitions for either bisexuality or pansexuality, there are a couple of common threads here. For most people, bisexuality seems to imply that a person's gender does influence your attraction on them, whereas pansexuality implies that their gender does not. So a lot of people said that they found certain traits attractive in one gender, less attractive than another, and I can really relate to that. So everyone I've ever dated has identified as either a man or a woman. I've never dated anybody who identifies as non-binary in some way. So I don't know exactly what I would be looking for in a non-binary partner, but I know when it comes to men and women, I definitely find different things attractive. So like in my day-to-day life, two things that are really important to me are music and writing. But instead of always being on the lookout for somebody who is both musical and literary, I tend to prefer guys who are a little bit more musical and girls who are more like wordsmithy and into writing and books. And I only realized that this morning as I was planning this video, but it's like, That's something that I didn't know that I did, but I guess I have gendered preferences in that way. Next common thread, language is generational. Bisexual is a pretty old word, pansexual is a pretty new one, and it seems like when we self-identify, we all take into consideration our own history, community, and how we fit into this like past, present, and future of queerness, queer language, and queer community overall. Bisexuality is not necessarily limited to men and women. It can encompass attraction to multiple genders, and it is not inherently transphobic. I make this last point primarily because I hear people all the time say that they identify as pansexual because bisexuality erases trans people. And okay, let me break this down a little bit. So if your definition of bisexuality must imply men and women, which again, not my thing, but if that's how you have to define bisexuality, then I can see your point for the word by erasing non-binary people or people who are not male or female identified. But when you say that bisexuality ignores trans people, you are ignoring the fact that there are trans people who identify within the binary. Trans women are women, trans men are men. So if you say I'm pansexual because I'm attracted to men, women, and trans people, then I suggest that you step back and think about what you're saying when you phrase it that way, because your intentions might be good, but what you're actually saying is that trans people cannot be men or women, which is not cool. Whatever of these words sounds best to you, go with that, as long as your definition does not put down somebody else's identity. So if you say, I'm bisexual because I've identified that way since I was little and I like it, then that's awesome. If you say, I'm bisexual because pansexuality is not a real thing, that's kind of mean, time to reevaluate. If you say, I'm pansexual because it fits with my experience better, super cool. If you say, I'm pansexual because bisexuality is transphobic, then we have a problem. Most importantly here, a lot of people say that even though they perceive these two identities to be kind of similar to each other in definition, one of them just feels better than the other one. It just fits better, it just sits better, it just feels right, and that's what you have to listen to. That's all I got for now. I have so many videos coming up the next couple weeks that I'm really excited about, so stay tuned for those. As always, please let me know how you like this video in the comment section. I'm sure that everyone's gonna have a lot of opinions, so maybe we'll do another round of these. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, those things. Let's talk about bisexuality and pansexuality. There's no reason for me to do this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm bothering everyone in my building doing this right now.